Hi, so I picked these marble effect coasters up before Christmas while I was out shopping. And I thought they'd be a fun project to turn into something a bit more decorative with vinyl. Now, I bought these locally, but I'm sure that they're probably available, in several shops. I'll try and leave links directly under the YouTube video if I can find anything, to maybe anything in my Amazon affiliate store, or I'll try and actually add them onto my website. Another alternative would probably be, I know you can buy plain, these are cork, they've got cork on the back, so I know you can buy cork coasters, and I'm sure you can probably buy marble effect contact type paper, I'm not sure what you call it. So you could probably buy plain cork, put your own marble on and cut round, and then do the same process. But they're just a few options for you. So I'm going to turn them into like a Scrabble letter. Now obviously I've only got 4 coasters here, and I think they generally come in 4s or 6s coasters, don't they? 4 or 6 place settings, something like that. So I'm going to use a word that's got 4 letters. So you could use love, home, if you've got a name that only happens to have 4 letters. I'm going to do home. So I'm going to make them into like a Scrabble tile. So you could look on Google and find out what the authentic font is for a Scrabble tile. But I thought it would be fun to use one of the fonts that's in ScanNCut canvas. And I'm in a new blank project here in my ScanNCut canvas. And a font that I haven't used very often is this one here, Rough and Bold. So I'm just going to bring that there. Now, my coasters are 4x4 with slightly rounded corners. I'm going to come back to the basic shapes. And there's a square here with rounded corners, which I'm going to choose. I'm going to come to the properties box and I'm going to type in 4 and hit enter. And because I've got the maintain aspect ratio ticked, it will adjust both the width and height accordingly. Okay, so that's my coaster, if you like. I'm just going to duplicate it 3 more times because obviously I want 4 in total. And now I'm going to bring the text in, and again I did a little bit of Googling, and the numbers that are associated with the letters that I want to use are the numbers 4, 3 and 1, and they correspond with the letters H, M and the O and the E. So I'm just going to double click at the end of this letter T to get the flashing cursor, and then I'm going to highlight these letters, and with the capital locks or the shift lock held down, whichever you prefer to use, I'm going to type home in capital letters. Then I'm going to let go of the shift or turn off the caps locks, just going to press the space bar, and I'm going to type 4, 3 and 1 because they're the numbers, as I say, that go with the Scrabble tiles. And then I'm just going to left click anywhere on the page just to select this. Now obviously these are a group and I need each individual letter first. So with this all selected, I'm going to right click and hit divide, and that will then make each one of these a separate letter. So I'm going to start with my first letter H, and I'm going to place it just kind of in the top corner-ish, but with some what looks like about a 1/4 inch gap at the moment. And then I'm just going to drag the letter H out to a size that I think looks fairly appropriate. You could make this as big or as small as you want. At the moment we seem to be at maybe just about 3 1/4 inches. I'm going to select these both and go to edit, and I'm going to align them centrally and vertically, so horizontal and centre, so the H sits in the middle of what would be my coaster, and I'm just going to left click anywhere to deselect. Now the number that goes with the letter H is the 4, so I'm going to grab the 4, grab a corner, and I'm going to shrink it down until it comes down to about a ½ inch. If I want to be absolutely precise, I can come to the properties box and type 0.5 and enter and close it down. And now I'm just going to drag that number in and place it in the bottom right hand corner, because that's where the numbers seem to be on the tile, on the Scrabble tiles. So that is looking quite good. So I think what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just drag a box around all 3 elements and right click and group, and then I'm just going to zoom in and have a look and see. And I'm leaving the box because I'm going to use that as a weeding box, which will hopefully enable me to position all my letters and all my numbers in exactly the same place on all 4 coasters. So that looks fine, I think. So we'll go back to fit to map. So that's the first one. So I'm just going to do the same with the second, but this time what I'm going to do, I'm going to place the O over my first letter, lining up the top and the side of the O with the top and the outside edge of this letter H. And then I'm just going to drag it out until I get this, you know, more or less the same height. And then I know that this should take up approximately the same space, if that makes sense. So I'm going to select both, centre them again on the horizontal and vertical. The number that goes with the O is a 1, and the 1 also goes with the E. So I'm just going to select the number 1 and duplicate it. Then again, I'm going to come to the properties box. You can do it by dragging it in, but come to the properties box and make it 0.5 high, which should be the same size as my H. If I put them side by side, they are. So now I'm going to position that in the kind of bottom right hand corner. I'm going to select all 3 elements and right click and group. And then I'm just going to repeat the same for the other 2 letters. So again, I'm just placing the M just to give me an idea of size. Select both of these, centre them on the horizontal and vertical, and the number that goes with the M is the 3. So select the 3, go to the properties box, make it 0.5 high, put that in, and then the amount of space that you have here for your number is obviously determined by your letter. So the H and the M obviously both extend out, but round the O there's quite a bit of space. So you just want to try and get them all so they're positioned, you know, in about the same distance from the bottom and the right. Once you're happy with that, select all 3 and go right click and group, and then the last one is the E. So again, I'm just going to position the E over this first, and if you can see what I'm doing, I'm lining, just send this to the back, I'm lining up the E so that the top of it lines up with my H and the outside edge here kind of comes in line roughly with this. You can see the blue line is on the outside edge of the letter H. And then I'm just going to drag it out until it's the same height. Select both, align them centrally on the horizontal and vertically, and then I can either ungroup this and duplicate this one, or just select this one, select the properties box and make it 0.5. And then again, just position it in the bottom right hand corner. Select all three. You can either group them this way or right click and group, whichever you prefer. Now I'm going to select them all and I'm going to line them all up on the bottom edge. And I'm just going to, using the arrows on my keyboard, just scoot them over. Because I just want to see if the numbers kind of line up. And they all look as though they're in, as if they're in more or less the same place. I mean, if you wanted to be picky and do it absolutely perfectly, you could choose the path icon, left click, hold your shift key down, double click to anchor it, to just drag a line out, and then you could position the line directly under your number and look and see if they all touch, and to be honest, they look actually all spot on. And then if they weren't, obviously you'd ungroup each one and just shuffle your number up, but you know, they look perfect, so that's how I'm going to leave them. So now I've got my 4 letters that are each individually grouped. I'm going to give them a name here. I'm going to call it Home Scrabble Tile. Save it, and I'm going to download it. And as I say, I'm going to use the outside box to be cut as well as a weeding guide. I mean, in the video here, I was using it as a guide for size. By leaving it in, it's now hopefully going to act as a guide so I can get each one of these letters and numbers centrally placed within my tile coaster, which I'll show you how to do in the next part of the video. Okay, I've got my vinyl stuck onto my mat just to save some time. I've got my 4 coasters here, and just briefly I've got the ScanNCut spatula, the stylus, I've got some scissors, I've got my piercing tool or whatever you want to call it, and I've got a bit of a squeegee. There will be links to tools like this on my new website, and the new website address is at the beginning of this video, and I will also try and put it underneath the video in the description box on YouTube. So if you want to purchase any of these items from my Amazon affiliate links, then there will be links for you to do that. I'm only saying that because I know people do message me and ask me what tools I use and where I get them from. So I'm going to go into patterns, I'm going to go over to the Wi-Fi transfer and bring in the pattern that I saved from ScanNCut Canvas, and here it is. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to load the mat in and I'm going to do a background scan just so that I can get the placement of the 4 letters on this black vinyl. So I'm just going to use the background scan icon and say start. Okay, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see these or not, but I can see them. What I have done, because I've got black vinyl, I've gone into my settings here and I've made the background kind of clear so that I can see the letters. If I have it on black and go back, it's difficult for me to see the canvas design I brought in. So go into settings, change it to clear and say OK, and that makes it easier to see. So I'm just going to maneuver these a little bit just to get them a little bit better placed, because this piece of vinyl is not exactly square. Okay, so that looks okay. I'm going to say OK and cut and then go. Okay, that's finished. I'm going to unload the mat, delete all the patterns, close that down because I don't need that anymore. And then I'm going to remove the whole sheet of vinyl from my mat. Now you're not going to be able to see this, but I can see where they are. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut the 4 apart for now, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to use the square that I used in Canvas as the guide for the size to help me position each one on the coaster in the right position. So I'm just going to cut these apart for now, so the gap in between the 2 rows of letters. So there's 2 still on there, and I've cut 2 apart. So we'll start with the letter H first of all. So what you need to do now is the square that we drew with the rounded corners in Canvas, which was the 4x4 to represent this, is what you're going to peel away first of all. So you just lift a corner and peel it away. So you want to actually leave the letter behind. Now this has cut, but it's just not peeling away from the letters straight away. So that's why I'm just holding the letters down and the number so that I can get them to stay behind, because it has cut, it's just not releasing it. So you do just have to take your time with vinyl, but it's fairly easy enough to work with. I think I may have just ripped that slightly. I think I have. So we'll see if we can fix that. I don't know actually if you saw any of that at all, but just ripped the number. So I think what I might do, I'll show you on the next one, and then I'll recut that number just from the scraps I've got. So we'll go on to the next one. These things do happen. I say it's cut because it's peeling away, but it just wasn't peeling away from the letter smoothly for some reason. Try this with because this is a number 1, so it's just need something to hold it down. That's it. Can you see what I'm doing? Hopefully you can. Let's put my number 1 back down. Peel this away. And again, that's the waist. Take the middle bit out of the letter O. So that's how we're looking now. So what I'm going to do, I'm now just using an old pair of scissors that I use for glue and things like that. I'm just going to get my transfer tape and put it over here, and then I'm going to cut the whole thing out around this coaster shape, if you like. So my transfer tape is big enough. I'm going to rub that down. And by doing it this way on the first letter, my transfer tape will be the exact right size for when I come to do my next ones, and that way I'll be able to line up the top and a corner and get the position on every coaster. I hope that makes sense. So I'll just rub this, give this a burnish down for now, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut around this line here, this white line. Now you can use a trimmer or a pair of scissors or whatever you want to use. I'm not being fussy about making the corners circular, just going to get the outside edge. Because I'm only doing this to use it as a guide for lining it up on here. So long as I get a straight edge on at least one side and the top or the bottom, then all the others should fall into place. So they're all my scraps. Give this another burnish. So now I'm going to peel this away. In fact, I'm just going to cut that off because I've still got a little bit of the black there. I'm peeling this away. Just be careful when you get to where your number is to make sure your number's there. I've still got a little bit of black vinyl on the side, but it doesn't matter because I can take that away once I get this in position. So what I'm going to do now, this should be the same size as my coaster. So I'm going to line this top edge up with the top edge of a coaster and line one edge to there. So I may just have to bring it forward a little bit just so that I can see what I'm doing. And if I line the edges up, like so, I can use this same piece of transfer tape for my next letter, and then I don't need to worry about cutting the outer away because this letter will then be fixed on the transfer tape in the right place, and then I can just keep doing it for all 4 letters. So I hope that makes sense. I'll do another letter in a minute and then hopefully you'll see what I mean. So I'm just going to burnish that down, and now I'm going to peel this away. And I am using regular transfer tape for this. I'm not using contact paper like you've seen me use in the last few videos. So the bits of stray vinyl are coming away now, so I can disregard those. Just put my transfer tape somewhere. Rub this down to make sure it's stuck, and there is my first Scrabble letter. So now I'm going to do another one. Just to show you what I mean. So I'll cut these apart and then I'll recut my number 4, and then I'll be able to finish all the 4. So now I just need to peel away the waist part again of what was the coaster shape. Just give this a bit of a burnish. So that's that one. So now when I take this piece of transfer tape, because I cut it the same size as the coaster, I can now line it up in here on the top edge and on the side edge. And put it down, burnish it down, and then when I peel it away, this will now fit on here perfectly, and I can do all 4 exactly the same. And just have to move this in a little bit because I can't see properly. I'll show you what I'm doing. So I've just got the top edge and a bit of the side lined up. Now I'm going to burnish it down and peel it back. And there's my next letter. So I've got the start of my Scrabble letters. So I'll just do the other two and then I'll show you when it's all finished. Okay, so there they are finished. So that was quite a simple little project, I think, that, you know, buy some coasters and fancy them up, give them as a present. So I hope you liked the tutorial. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't already do so, and go and have a look at my new website. As I say, the address is at the beginning of this video and I'll put it in the description box below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.